Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer. Today we're here for yet another Civilization 6 Leader Spotlight, where today we'll be taking a look at Montezuma of the Aztecs. So Montezuma's first ability is known as Gifts for the Tlatoani, and what it does is it makes it so that his luxury resources in his territory provide an additional 2 amenities to 2 extra cities. In addition to this, military units receive +1 combat strength when attacking for each different luxury resource improved in Aztec lands. So this ability is very, very strong, for multiple reasons. So first, having your amenity, or having luxury resources provide amenities to 2 extra cities is really, really good, because if you're not aware how amenity, or how luxuries and amenities work, be sure to check out the in-depth video I have for those, but pretty much if you have a luxury, it will provide a 1 amenity to up to 4 cities, and then if you have another copy of that luxury resource, it won't do anything, so you should trade it away. But with Montezuma, each one of your luxury resources will provide amenities up to 6 cities, which is really, really good, because then the more amenities, or the more luxury resources you have, the more this stacks up, and the more it ends up mattering. So this is really good for just keeping all of your cities happy, because Montezuma does like to expand quite a bit, and this will really help whenever you're considering things such as war weariness as well. Whenever you're attacking people, having a lot of amenities is really good as Montezuma, and it will work out quite nicely. In addition to this, you're also incentivized to get a lot of amenities, or a lot of different amenities, because your military units will receive +1 combat strength when attacking for each different luxury resource that you have improved in your lands. So if you're able to either spawn on a continent split where you're going to be able to get up to, I believe it's 6 different luxuries, then you could end up with just getting a ridiculous amount of combat strength whenever you're playing as Montezuma, and that combat strength is just insanely good, because it'll be with you no matter what battle you're in for every single one of your units. So that is incredibly good, incredibly strong, and it makes him a very good domination civ. Montezuma's second ability is known as Legend of the Five Suns, and what it does is it makes it so that he is able to spend builder charges to complete 20% of the original district cost. Legend of the Five Suns is also quite a strong ability. It's really good in the early game in conjunction with his Eagle Warriors, which we'll talk about here in just a few seconds. But Legend of the Five Suns is really good, especially when you take into account things such as production overflow. So if you get a district down all the way to one turn left, and you use a builder charge to get 20% of the original district cost, all the remaining production will be overflowed into whatever you're going to build next. So you can use this if you're a strong player and you know what you're doing with production overflow. You can use this to your advantage in a really strong manner. Even instead of using chops, you could use this. You can use the overflow in addition to chops. You could just use it to rush wonders, to rush additional military units, and there's a lot of things you can do with it, and it's really good. Not to mention, it's also just really strong for maybe whenever you take cities, you want to get some districts down to get those cities built up fast, or if you settle cities, you want to build them up really fast. All you have to do is build a few builders in your existing cities, send them over there, and you can get your districts up nice and quickly, especially in the later game whenever the cost of district goes up quite a bit as you build more and more districts. This can be really good, because whenever your districts are really expensive, it's really nice. And you can also use that to build the spaceport, because the spaceport is a really expensive district. You can use your builders and go ahead and rush that as well. So Legend of the Five Suns, also a very strong ability. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about Montezuma's unique unit, which is known as the Eagle Warrior, which is a special unit that replaces the Warrior. It has a melee strength of 28, which is up +8 from the Warrior, a movement of 2, which is the same as the Warrior, and a production cost of 65, which is up +25 from the Warrior. In addition to this, it can also turn defeated enemy units into builders, so the chances for those are 90% for slingers and scouts, and 62% for warriors. You are able to turn other units into builders as well, such as, swordsmen, heavy chariots, horsemen, but the percentage chances for those are much lower, around 30 or 40%, and I didn't want to just litter the screen with percentages, so I didn't include them here. So the Eagle Warrior, I think, as a whole, is a very, very strong unit. It has the melee strength that is +8 from the Warrior is very, very good, because that is quite a significant difference. And then if you're also able to get 1 or 2 luxuries improved at the time when you're using your Eagle Warriors, that's going to go up even a little bit more, and it's going to be able to absolutely destroy enemy warriors. The additional production cost does quite suck, though, just because 25 production at the very start of the game can actually turn into 4 or 5 additional turns to produce these. So that actually is quite a bit harmful, but if you're able to just spam them out, then I think it is still worthwhile to spam them just because of how strong they are. The chance to turn enemy units into builders is very good, especially considering the fact that you can then use those builders to rush your first districts. So maybe you can get out a very early encampment or a very early campus or something of the sort. If you want to go for maybe Hypatia or something like that with the campus, you could then go ahead and attack your nearest neighbor, take some of their units, change them into builders, and then go either build tile improvements to either improve more amenities to give yourself even more combat strength, or to rush a few districts. So I think this is very good. One thing I should mention is that this ability only works on player units. It does not work on barbarians. So you can't go and try to farm a barb encampment for builders, because that would be total cheese. You have to make sure that you are fighting players to be able to use the Eagle Warriors to turn enemy units into builders. But overall, still, Eagle Warrior, a very strong unique unit. As far as Montezuma's unique building is concerned, we have the Tlochtli, which is a special building that replaces the arena. It provides +1 culture and +1 amenity from entertainment, both of which are the exact same as the arena. It also provides +2 faith, +1 great general point per turn, and +1 tourism once you reach conservation. So the Tlochtli, I just don't think it's very good. The differences that it gives you over the arena are just not really that good, especially considering how Montezuma plays. So +2 faith. +2 faith actually could possibly be okay, but the only problem is whenever you're playing Montezuma, you're probably not going to have a religion, just because you're going to want to rush Eagle Warriors in the very early game, so you're not going to be able to get a holy site down early because you want to just be spamming Eagle Warriors, so you're probably not going to found a religion. You're definitely not going to be founding a religion if you're playing on higher difficulties where you really, really have to rush to get a religion. So the +2 faith really just does nothing for you if you don't have a religion, because you can't really do anything with it. +1 great general point per turn can actually be quite nice, but normally I don't find that I have all that many entertainment complexes in my game, so if I only have, maybe 2 or 3 Tlochtlis, +3 great general points per turn really isn't going to be that great, whenever I probably will have the same amount of encampments that will also be providing just a lot more great general points per turn. So it just really doesn't stack up in comparison to a lot of the other things that Montezuma gets. So for that reason, I just don't think it's very good, and I wouldn't really bother with the Tlochtlis too much. And now with all this in mind, it is time to talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of Montezuma and the Aztecs in Civilization 6. So for the first strength, I think that the Eagle Warrior is an incredibly strong unit. So the Eagle Warrior is very strong for multiple reasons. The first one being that it has +8 combat strength over the warriors. So in the early game, you're going to be able to absolutely obliterate enemy warriors. If you run into a slinger, you'll probably get pretty close to just one-shotting it. Which is very, very good. The Eagle Warrior is just incredibly strong and has such high combat strength. The other thing is the ability to capture enemy units and change them into builders is very, very good for Montezuma, especially considering the fact that he's able to rush districts. So if you're able to get 1 or 2 builders from your enemies, you can then, use one of those to rush out an early encampment, spam out even more Eagle Warriors, and probably take someone out of the game by turn 50 or so. So that is just incredibly strong with the Eagle Warriors, and I really like them as a unique unit. The other big strength of Montezuma is that he's able to expand with ease, and there are multiple reasons for this. The first one being that he is able to, or that all of his luxury resources will provide amenities to 2 extra cities rather than normal. Rather than the normal 4, so this is very strong because what it allows you to do is have a lot more cities, have a moderately decent population in all of those cities, and you're not going to have to worry about needing too many more amenities, just because all of your luxuries will be going out to 2 extra cities. So also, if you're able to expand across a continent split, you're going to be able to get a lot of different luxuries, which will provide a lot of different amenities to a lot of cities, and you're able to just support a very high population as Montezuma. The other nice thing is that whenever you have all these different luxuries, you're going to be getting a lot of extra combat strength, and then that extra combat strength is going to allow you to expand even more, maybe expand across even another continent split, get even more luxuries, which provide even more combat strength and more amenities. So it's kind of just a very nice snowball effect with Montezuma in being able to get a lot of different luxuries that give you a lot of combat strength, that give you a lot of amenities, which allows you to expand, even more, and it just works out really nicely with him. So I think for that, he is quite strong. The one big weakness of Montezuma, though, is that he is rather difficult to play properly. So there are a lot of things that you have to just keep in mind whenever you're playing Montezuma, and there's a lot of catches with some of his abilities. So with a lot of his abilities, for instance, you have to make sure that whenever you're taking into account the thing with combat strength from your luxuries, these are only luxuries that you have improved in your own territory. So this doesn't count things such as luxuries you get from trade, luxuries you get from being the suzerain of a city-state, luxuries you get from like Zanzibar that gives cinnamon and cloves. It does count luxuries that you get, or it doesn't count luxuries that you get from great merchants as well. So these are only luxuries that you improve in your own territory. The +2 amenities also pretty much follows the same thing, except I believe that with the +2 amenities thing, it does count the luxuries from great merchants, but still not the ones that you would get from being the suzerain of city-states. In addition to this, being able to utilize production overflow from the builder charges to complete 20% of district cost can actually be a quite difficult thing, especially if you're not really familiar with production overflow, or you're not really sure how it works. That can be another thing that's really hard to use, and there's just a lot of very complex things with Montezuma. So Montezuma, with a very advanced player, is an incredibly strong civ. With a less advanced player, he's not going to be showing quite as much strength, just because he is quite difficult to play. And now it is that time to give Montezuma his tier ranking. So if you're new to this series, what I do is I give each leader a tier ranking in each of the 4 victory types, so domination, science, culture, and religion, and these rankings just kind of gauge the leader's general proficiency at attaining either of the rankings. I give them an overall ranking as well that just takes into account other things such as their spawn bias, their versatility, and such things like that. And this ranking just kind of gives a general idea of where they fall amongst the other leaders in the game, and just gives you an idea of how good they are in comparison to the other leaders. All of our rankings go from S to F, with S being the highest and F being absolutely terrible. So let's go ahead and rank Montezuma. So domination is up first, and I think that Montezuma is very deserving of an S tier ranking in domination for multiple reasons. So the first one being that Montezuma is able to get quite a bit of extra combat strength from having different luxuries improved in his territory. So as you expand your empire and you're going about your domination game, you're going to be going across multiple continent splits, which is going to allow you to get more different unique luxuries, which is going to add +1 combat strength to all of your military units every single time that you get one of those like a new unique luxury improved. So this, by the end game, whenever you've expanded and you're fighting like across multiple continents, you're going to be getting an additional maybe +6, +9, maybe even +10 combat strength just from having so many different luxuries improved, and it is going to be incredibly strong. You'll be able to just steamroll through pretty much everybody else, and for that, it is just incredibly good for domination. In addition to this, you're going to be getting +2 amenities from each one of these different luxuries that you have improved, so that's going to make it so that you can combat war weariness a little bit more effectively. It's going to make it so that the extra population that you have from taking all these cities isn't going to be too impactful on you, because you'll have enough amenities to support it, and it's just a very, very strong thing. It really just helps it so that you don't cripple yourself in trying to fight other people just due to war weariness or due to just not having enough amenities. So Montezuma as a domination civ, definitely one of the strongest in the game. Science is up next, and I think that Montezuma deserves a B in science. He is actually a fairly decent science civ for multiple reasons. The first one being that he's just kind of a fairly decent all-around civ, just for being able to rush districts. So being able to rush districts makes it so that you can really specialize all of your cities, and you're probably going to be having a lot of cities as Montezuma, and being able to get maybe a campus in every single city because you can rush it very easily is just a nice thing that can help out your science game. In addition, you can rush the spaceport a lot faster than a lot of other people can, just because, once again, because of that builder charge ability. So you'll be able to get your spaceport down quite fast, especially since that is quite a high production cost district. That'll just make it a little bit easier to start producing your spaceports. Aside from that, though, he doesn't really have any bonuses. The reason I'm giving him a B instead of a C here is just because of his general proficiency in spamming out districts. Culture is up next, and I think that more of the same here. He's going to get a B just because of his general proficiency in spamming out districts. So whenever you're playing Montezuma, if you really want, whenever you take all these cities, you can put a theater square down in each one, get yourself a lot of culture. That'll get you a lot of great writer, artist, and musician points. And then you can have all of these theater squares to put a bunch of great works. You'll also have a ton of land if you want to go ahead and build seaside resorts or national parks. So that's just another thing that kind of works well with having a lot of land being so expansive as Montezuma. So whenever you're playing Montezuma, you could go for a cultural game. I still wouldn't recommend it totally, but, just because of his ability to district spam and his massive amount of land to build national parks and seaside resorts, I think he's at least deserving of a B tier ranking in culture. Religion is up next, and I think Montezuma deserves a D in religion. He is not a good religion civ because of one thing, and that is his Eagle Warriors. As strong as his Eagle Warriors are, it really makes it so that you cannot afford to build holy sites or rush religions, just because if you spend your resources to build a holy site early, then you're going to be losing a lot of your potential to build Eagle Warriors, which is going to take away a lot of your potential to expand early on, which is then going to make it harder to snowball into your domination victory. So I just would not recommend going for religion as Montezuma, because you would much, much, much rather focus on Eagle Warriors in the early game. And sure, you get +2 faith from your Tlachtli, but +2 faith really is not that much, and you would need to build a lot of entertainment complexes to actually make that worthwhile. So that's why I think that Montezuma, really whenever you're playing Montezuma, just probably avoid religion, and for that reason, I think he deserves a D. And for Montezuma's overall ranking, I think he's deserving of an A tier ranking. He is a very, very strong civ, albeit he is one that is quite difficult to play properly, especially if you're less experienced at the game. But if you do know what you're doing whenever you're playing Civ 6, then Montezuma can be an incredibly strong leader. You can district spam super easy, you can take over your neighbors very easily, you can just amass a ton of extra combat strength from his ability to get extra combat strength from each different luxury resource that he has, and then you'll be able to manage your amenities a little bit better, get the extra percentage-based boost to all of your yields from having your cities be happy or ecstatic, and you're able to just win a game fairly easily. So if you are an experienced player, Montezuma is an incredibly strong civ. If not, I would probably recommend that you avoid Montezuma until you familiarize yourself with the game a little bit more, but overall, just as a whole, Montezuma is a very strong civ, and I think he is quite deserving of the A tier ranking. So thank you everyone for watching. I have been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.